regular business meeting for Verona Borough Council. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Kenna.
President Jervicki Bell.
Here.
Mr. Conti.
Here.
Dr. Carpenter. Present. Ms. Lualbo.
Here.
Mr. McCarthy.
Here.
Ms. Provenza.
Here.
Mr. Suchovich. Here. Mayor Recupero.
Here.
Mr. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Pitch.
Here.
I am also here.
Council will now hear registered comments from the public. Trish, you're up.
So I'm going to kick us off, I guess, but there's a couple neighbors that wanted to take a turn speaking. Hi, everyone. I'm Trish. We live at 440 North. This is my husband and my little one, Winnie. So as you know, we recently had a shooting incident on our street on 440 North. I think it was Friday, June 21st. So obviously this was very alarming to a number of us in the block, especially those of us who have young children. So we got together and we wanted to figure out what we could do as neighbors and also how we could work with council to work on this issue. I contacted our borough manager, Jerry, who put us on the agenda for the next available meeting tonight. And of course, we reached out to our mayor as well. Thank you, Dave, for all your help in getting together and getting a draft of the petition we'd like to go over with you in detail tonight. And special thanks to Sylvia as well, who also lives on our block, so who is especially concerned about the recent incident. So I'm going to hand this over to my husband, Dan, next.
Same address for the foreseeable future. When we discovered what had happened on our block, we were in New Jersey. There are approximately 20 kids the ages 12 and younger living on our block. All that bullet had to do was just travel a slightly different direction, and we might have a dead kid on our hands. These kids are running around till 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. Now, people are going to discuss cameras and hopefully increasing the pay of our cops so we're competitive with other boroughs. But that only works after an incident has happened. So as citizens, and I just discovered on 3rd Avenue that they actually do have a block watch, knew nothing about it. It's not something that has ever been brought up, and we're going to glob on to what they have done. Okay, and we're going to turn this into a real neighborhood watch, because there are some very angry parents right now. None of this is directed at council, okay? This is directed to the scumbags that live in our neighborhood that I have to support through my tax dollars. I moved out of the city so I didn't have to deal with this crap. I would like to thank Mayor Dave especially right now. I called him from New Jersey. I didn't wait hours, I didn't wait days, I waited minutes for him to get back to me. Ever since then, I've contacted him about a dozen times. Again, minutes. And he's back in touch, knowing that a bunch of us citizens are fired up about this situation. We're going to stay fired up. He was willing to meet me on my front porch with 20 other parents, and he took a verbal abuse because he's the only guy that was willing to show up. And so was Sylvia. So I know after an incident like that who I can reach out to. I hope the rest of council will be as receptive to the other people that step up here right now and into the future. And maybe somewhere in this budget that I picked up earlier or late last week, where there is just major miscellaneous money spent, 20,000 here, 40,000 here, 60,000 there. Maybe we could take some of this miscellaneous money that's in this budget and throw it towards the cops. Because for 14, 16 bucks an hour and no health care, I wouldn't put my life on the line. Thank you.
Excuse me, Dan, I'd just like to clarify, when you and I did talk, we were going to meet together. I didn't involve council because I wanted to get all the facts written down, you know, and bring it to the board. Sylvia lives on the street, but I just want to...
And thank you for the clarification, okay? But I can say that I have reached out to other people, and I'm not going to name names, you respond quickly. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm part of the contingent. Laura Jacko, 437 North, but I think you guys already know that. And I think also what Danny was trying to say too is that I think he's hoping that everybody, when we bring these ideas in front of you, are as receptive as the people we've already talked to. Like, you're right, we haven't necessarily called literally every single person, but I think we just wanted to call it who's just been receptive already to what we've had to say. We did, me and some of the other parents on the street got together and wrote a petition that we're going to be presenting to you. We were pretty busy and we only got it up online like on Friday, and there's already almost 70 signatures that are on there. So it's definitely something that is, of concern to people in the community. We tried to get together just some information on some ideas we thought that we could all, like council and the neighbors, could work together to make a safer community, because this is something that's very concerning to all of us. There were like 4 major points that we really wanted to work on, one of which is increasing support for the police. I do know that there have been some pay increases, but there's also been talk of others that haven't been passed necessarily. And I understand that budgets are an issue, but I'm open to other things that we can do to support the police staff to make sure that retention is something that can be, improved upon. I understand that maybe sometimes there's open positions that we have trouble filling. I think that we could all work together as a community to figure out ways to get those positions filled and keep the police officers here and make them feel supported and feel like they have a home here, so that we can all take pride in our community together and make sure it's appropriately policed for the issues that we're experiencing right now. So open to other ideas. I think also, just as an aside, that I know this is a big project, but it might be worth considering exploring with Oakmont, combining some emergency services. I know that's something that's been batted around a bit. Just a suggestion. Additional security cameras, I know, is something that has also been talked about, and I think that we need to aggressively pursue this. That's not something that necessarily even needs to come out of our budget. I understand there's grants and community programs that we can reach out to regarding security cameras. Someone just has to do it from council or from the borough to be able to do that. And I'm not saying that we need to put security cameras literally on our street, but the buildings that are owned by the borough, like maybe all the fire halls, maybe the parks, things like that. I feel like it's kind of common sense that those places should have functional security cameras that can help the police staff to do their job then, so that they actually have something to pull. Like when the incident that happened on our street happened, we just don't have security cameras to go back and look at to see, who came through the neighborhood who was an unusual car. Lighting issues. I've been informed by some of our neighbors, I think some of them are going to talk about a little bit more, who've looked into it, that some of the streetlights have been allowed to be off and non-functional for a while. I understand that Duquesne Light is the one that needs to fix the lights, but someone has to tell them about that. Someone needs to be on it, like looking at, what lights are out, calling Duquesne Light, and making sure that they stay on it for replacing or fixing broken lights to make sure we have adequate lighting. On our street, apparently there are a couple of lights that are out, and that's really, probably not helpful. So I'm thinking like these are probably common sense things we could do. I would also really like to ask for a meeting with the police chief and concerned neighbors, so that we can look into restarting more of a formal, comprehensive neighborhood watch program. I understand that there used to be one, but it has sort of fizzled a little bit. I think that getting the citizens together to work more actively with the police department and work on just awareness as to, what to look for, how to contact the police, how to make anonymous reports, things like that. These are all questions I've encountered recently that I didn't even really know the answers to until I started looking into it. So I think that these are things that we can, work together to do and that are probably pretty more or less easy to implement to make the place safer. Open to anything else, but I think that they say the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. And if we just continue to do the same thing and not address these incidents with very aggressively, then that's telling the bad guys that that's okay, that we're not paying attention. On a personal note, the reason why this matters to me is because I do have a little dude. He's only being nice right now because we're letting him watch Paw Patrol. But he is, he's got a lot of other, friends on the street, lots of little kids. And frankly, I've been having nightmares of my child getting shot. I wake up in the middle of the night now thinking that he's gonna die. And it shouldn't be like that in our neighborhood, and it shouldn't be like that in our street. So it's up to all of us, and especially the people that are in charge, to do something about it. Thank you.
Laura, I'd like to elaborate on things that you said. After our meeting, the next day I go out with the police chief, and I had written down everything, and we are working on the crime watch, and he could elaborate also.
That's great.
The cameras, and the speeding on there, and you're saying there's lights out. Chief, we'll look into that. And
Good. I was
I've been
hoping
in
for a
touch
response
with
tonight.
Obi last night. We had talked, and she's willing, once we get up and running with the crime watch, she can, she's willing to come and talk to everybody to, and show how 3rd Street is ran, which is,
That's great.
But we are working on it, from the things you had said, and like I said, you're free to, meet with the chief anytime. We'll sit down with you.
Yeah, and I think it needs to not to be just 3rd Street and not just North Ave.
Exactly.
It needs to be
No, everybody. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah.
I know, it was. That's why I said I understand there used to be
But they continued. They continued.
Good job.
And, and she's willing to come to speak as a, a guest speaker to show how they did it. But,
Yeah, and
thank you.
maybe help get everything restarted for the whole community, show everybody how it's done, and show everyone why it's important. Because, we do only have a couple of police officers, and I think that everybody should know their faces and, feel comfortable reaching out to them. I think a lot of people are just kind of scared, too, and I think knowing who their officers are might help them be a little less scared to reach out to them when they see something that's suspicious. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Erin Palermo, 861st Street.
And Doug Palermo, same address.
So the shooting happened right behind our house, and it's like from the alley. My son could have seen it from his bedroom. Honestly, I'm more concerned, and I probably deviate from some of the neighbors here, with the speeding as a bigger issue for me in our neighborhood. When we moved in, we were told there were 27 kids on our block, and they routinely play in our yard. So I believe it.
And the alleyway behind our house.
And the alleyway behind our house. We always have people speeding up and down our street at 45, sometimes 50 miles an hour, I bet, including the new garbage people. So I've been told that we can't do speed bumps on our street because of the brick roads. But if there's some alternative, I am terrified that my son's going to get hit by a car. We've had people... I stand on my porch and scream at people, like a crazy person, because they're just speeding up and down our roads.
Are you talking on First or on North?
On North.
First and North. Both, pick the road.
Yeah, North has the hill, so generally I think people are just racing down the hill with the extra speed of gravity. But it is scary when you have that many little kids and, with street parking, you can't see the children coming because they're coming from between cars, and it is a narrow road. And, I agree with everybody else that the shooting is something to be taken very, very seriously, but I'm far more worried about my son being hit by a car than I am about a bullet going astray in a fairly targeted shooting. It sucks that happened, and I'm really upset that happened. It's not the kind of neighborhood, we moved out of Penn Hills because we live next to a heroin dealer. And we never had a shooting there, but, so it's discouraging, but more than that, like, the safety of our children is so important. The police chief has given me a talking to for going too fast through the school zone, so I get how important it is, but if we're not going to patrol and monitor people speeding, littering, these are all ways that we could, if we find people, if we used cameras, we could find people and find the budget to pay for the salaries for new police officers.
More officers, we can get more enforcement on these laws and and maybe even steeper fines for speeding through our community. It's not, we want it to change before there's an accident.
Right, we don't want it to be a dead kid, so somebody is here talking about their child that they lost. You know, we don't want to be that neighborhood in Monroeville that now has speed bumps everywhere because somebody's kid got hit. You know, the reactive behavior is not what we would like to see. If there's something we can do with the brick roads to minimize speeding.
Our officers are amazing in this community, and we want to give them the resources to do their jobs. It's unfair to them to do it everyone else.
Right.
Thank you.
I'll get with Mr. Conti, he's on Public Works, and we'll get that speeding sign moved up there. Is it gonna help it?
I mean,
You know, I mean, it's something. And I'll have my, officers also be more vigilant. They'll be around that area more, so, vigilant, yeah.
And also,
that word.
it's the new garbage, or the new waste disposal who we hired in Westmoreland County, or community, or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. I was on North getting my son out of the car, and they came flying right by to put him back in. And I've never seen a dump truck or a garbage truck on 2 wheels. But it's a sight, because they went around, made a right going up north, or first, and went on 2 wheels around the corner.
We're going to have that talk next here under registered comments.
Okay.
So if we could
Yeah, that's
keep
fine.
it toward
Okay, yeah.
the only registered comment we have here is from Trish.
Okay, no,
So,
yeah. Okay.
Yes. All right, well, thank you for your time.
thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Lagerteria, 453 North Avenue. And I'm the one who made the call at 2:24 a.m. The night of the shooting after I jumped 10 feet in the air. I heard 2 shots go off. Like I said, I jumped. I thought somebody was about to shoot down my front door because it was right outside. Next thing I knew, my daughters came running in the room, scared, crying. I was on the phone with 911, and she said, well, can you see anybody? So I'm looking out the window very slightly so it didn't attract any attention to my window for the shooter. Also, in the meantime, after the shots, I heard a man screaming outside at the top of his lungs. And first thing I'm thinking was domestic dispute, what is going on? And the dispatcher said, can you see anything? Back to that. And I said, no. It's very dark out there. The street light was kind of flickering in the alleyway. And so after that happened, I watched as one police car showed up. Now, not knowing what kind of situation we were in here, how many shooters, where the shooter was located, I don't think that one police officer was efficient for that. I saw him out there with the person whose car got shot up looking for the shooter. Now, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they should have had somebody back them up. Whether they call somebody in from Oakmont, you guys don't have the resources available for that. That just, to me, in my opinion, was kind of a scary situation there. But the streetlights, I think, and I mentioned this to Mayor Recupero, there are energy efficient cost saving programs out there available through Duquesne Light that it might be beneficial for you to look into, and I know he had contacted them after I made the suggestion whenever he came and visited our street at Trish and Danny's residence. So I know that's available out there. I believe that, brighter lights, would it have helped that situation? No, but would it deter people from hiding behind vans in an alley and dark spaces shooting? Maybe. Also, cameras. I did some couple-minute research online for grants that are out there for police equipment, cameras, things like that. They're out there. And I know everybody has their own lives up here, and I'm not coming up here screaming at you to do something. We're here to help you, too. And this is probably the first time this has come up to you guys, unfortunately, after an incident like this. But now we really want to be proactive in helping you guys find resources, make you aware of what's out there if you don't know what kind of help is out there and what grants are out there for you. I think it's very important, we put a camera, every so many feet, bright lights. Also 5 years ago, whenever I moved to Verona from Penn Hills, because I didn't want my child growing up in Penn Hills, school district number 1, and the neighborhood is starting to turn for the worst. So I moved into Verona because I thought it was a safe neighborhood. And in the last 5 years, I'd say it was, pretty safe, except for this incident. When I did move in, I did start a Facebook group on social media for North Avenue, just to have communications like this available if something happened. And I communicated the event that happened that night on our Facebook page so that everybody's aware, because like myself, I'm a mother of a 2-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I would want to know what kind of activity is going on our street. Maybe something we could do is try to get some information out there, get somebody responsible on every street in Verona, and have something like that for every street, and maybe have, a Verona Borough Facebook page that is strictly for communications, Crime Stopper type things, maybe add a hotline where they can text information. I think some people sometimes are a little hesitant on calling in things that they see that are kind of fishy or abnormal going on. So maybe if there's a way, you can text a number and that number can transfer to an email, to the police chief's email. I know that you can do that. There's technology available for that. I think that may be some people's better way of communicating. Other than that, if you guys need help on trying to move forward with some of these things, I know that everybody in here is willing to back you guys up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that information. I do have the application. I'm going to review it with the board.
Okay.
I'm Joseph Warren from 562 Vogels Lane. I was here 5 months ago. A little bit after 6 a.m., we had a 5-car hit and run from an attic that was a block and a half away, and I mentioned wanting cameras on the streets. I know you were looking into grants 5 months ago, and I did have a lot of communication with the mayor, with the chief. I feel on my block I had this happen 5 months ago, where there was somebody that I watched get tased by one police officer in the morning at 6 a.m. Someone else came from our neighboring community, and I didn't have any answers. I was just told it was an investigation, you'd look into grants, we're looking for cameras. I don't know that we necessarily need matching dollars. I believe there's also money in the budget to handle some things that are a priority. Again, I leave that to you, that's your job. One thing I will say, I've been in the community for a year now, and I appreciate the text that comes out from the community, but I think it needs to go beyond whether it's an event for watching a movie or things like that. I didn't know about the shooting until it was mentioned by a neighbor. I didn't know about what happened with the 5-car hit and run until I was asking neighbors. I'd like to see those things to me. That's why I signed up for the text message program. I think it's an asset you can use better. And again, when I talked about lighting Vogel's Lane, cleaning up the steps and painting it so it's a respectable space that people do not disrespect with litter. The open containers have been tossed recently, and the drug paraphernalia. I ask that you take a look at lighting it, getting cameras up in prominent spaces. The person who had the 5-car hit and run, you can see the streak that went from the elementary school. They dragged tire all the way up onto another street, and then around about 60 yards in front of my home, missed my front porch and hit the cars down the hill from us. Those I thought were alarming enough for me to bring to you as, these are the pieces I found as a resident, this is what I would like in response. And I'd like to say, I don't know what's happened in the last 5 months since you've looked for grants, but in my eyes as a resident, I think I give you a head start on some of these things. So I am very curious. I appreciate hearing all these things from my neighbors. I don't know all the neighbors, except for what they had shared tonight, but I think what's more important than you listening, because I know you're taking a lot of notes, but I'm very interested in hearing your responses, specifically from the committees that are looking to budget or oversee the police, or it falls within what you do each month when you meet as a committee. So I appreciate you listening, everyone, tonight. And again, some of my concerns are different, but I think they're the same. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Peters?
Pete.
So my name is Peter McKeating, Vice President for Noble Environmental. We own County Hauling, the waste and recycling hauler.
So we asked Pete to come here this evening because there were some questions and concerns about the garbage collection. So this would be the opportunity, and I don't know how the president would like to handle it, for questions to be asked. He's here to answer questions and understand concerns so that we can fix the problems that might be occurring.
Well, if I may, Saturday evening, I started getting complaints. Actually, I was at a graduation. I didn't look at my phone until about 8:30. And there was a lot of people that were texting me that their garbage was still out. That's when I got in touch with you, and you did inform me that you were out of the area, which is fine. And you did get in touch with me on, we talked on Sunday about the garbage, and you did say that you were going to come back out, which you did, and I had asked you to go over the whole entire town, which you guys did, I presume, because I haven't heard anything else. You did what you said you were going to do, but I mean, if any of the residents have any other complaints, and you and I have talked about some of the things that they told me, with the shirts, no shirts on and what have you.
So in terms of the speeding and the no shirts, the driver for Verona he's a younger guy. He's very hardworking, but that was strike number 1. We have 3-strike policy. He was not wearing a shirt, so he's been disciplined, written up. It won't happen again. I trust the guy. He just, he needed to be reminded of who he works for and what he does.
Do they not have a dress code? Because he didn't have.
Excuse me.
Hold on.
Okay. None of them were dressed appropriately. None of them had gloves.
They don't have to wear gloves. It's a personal decision if they want to or not. It makes picking up plastic bags more difficult. Some of them wear rubber lined gloves, some of them don't. But we don't enforce any type of a lower than your waist dress code. They have to have boots on, the Green County Hauling shirt. We've talked to him. Yeah, so that should be the last time that he's not wearing reflective clothing. So if it happens again, please let us know. Thank you.
I guess my only comment is, I expect that you'll have a miss or two every once in a while in the can hiding behind a vehicle or something, but we've been getting notified of whole streets being missed, and that was just a pretty large concern.
So I have the list of misses here right now. The first 2 weeks in town, we had our route supervisors, Kenny and Dalton, run the route. We usually put them on for the first couple of weeks, and they learn kind of all the weird picadillos of a town, because there are a lot, especially a town like Verona with a lot of alleys. And then we pass it along to a driver. And so part of the misses, the first 2 weeks we had 3 misses total taking over a town, which I've never seen that happen. It's usually a lot more than that, so I was pretty happy with that. When we transitioned over to our driver, there were more, and then it kind of seemed like it escalated, and then it dropped off. This weekend specifically, Dalton, who's the route supervisor and one of the managers for County Hauling, was on the truck when they swept the town on Monday, and he talked to a couple residents. I think there was definitely some confusion over the schedule. The schedule says if there's a holiday, it's picked up the next day, and then we have a schedule that highlights your day. And I had already, I moved that, so if your day is the 4th of July on Thursday, your day was highlighted on Friday. They were taking that to mean that it was pushed another day on top of that. So there's definitely some confusion there. We usually do find that the first holiday we do in a town, there's a spike in misses. Usually it gets sorted out by, the people who put it out at the wrong time, we either call in or they'll see when it's picked up, and they usually goes down pretty significantly from there.
Is there a bag limit or a can limit? Because one of the complaints that I had heard was that if there was more than one can put out, they take one but leave one.
Oh, no. So you have unlimited collection.
That's what my understanding was.
Yeah, and I mean, our ask to you and to the residents is that you keep it within reason. I mean, we occasionally come across piles that will back our truck out, and then we're running an hour back and an hour back, and we lose 2 hours in a day. So if there is a really large pile, you know, if you can work with us on that, we would appreciate it. But that's usually how we deal with it. It's if you want like a rough number, it's usually about 15 bags in one large item. It's just no problem. They're just gonna throw it. If it's bigger than that, we get a call.
Another one that I received recently, I know the recycling goes through sorting, but my understanding was they were to take the can and then it gets sorted at the facility.
Yeah.
Because more than one street has reached out to us and said it seemed as if they were sorting at the curb and not emptying the entire recycling can.
No, they don't sort at the curb at all. If they're not emptying the entire can, that's them not doing their job. You know, I can talk to them about that. We don't generally run into that. So I'll bring it up to my supervisor and the drivers, but no, there's no sorting at the curb.
Okay.
The other thing to bear in mind is that we do have the same truck and the same driver that does your recycling in the morning, and then he comes back and does trash. It does occasionally cause confusion, but just for your information, he goes and dumps that recycling at the recycling center and then comes back and picks up trash. So we do sometimes get calls saying, you know, they're throwing it in the same truck. They are, it's 4 hours apart. He had already dumped off the recycle, so just to add that one off, because you'll probably get it at some point.
I wanted to add a question about, that I've seen from the complaints from many residents about when they empty the garbage, sometimes half the garbage ends up on the road, and that I actually saw a picture, a video of somebody taking the lid off and just throwing it like a Frisbee and hitting various cars. That's a concern. And then I have another question when you're done answering that.
Yeah, in terms of how we have a way that they're supposed to take the caps off, put them down, empty the can and flip it upright so we know the street's done. If they're not doing that and there's especially videos, just send them to me.
Yeah, I don't have the video. I mean, I've seen them. I'm not sure I could know how to send them, but those out there who have those, maybe get your information.
Yeah, you can email us at info@countyhauling.com, any concerns you have.
Now, the other thing is, I'm not 100% sure if this has been rectified. My understanding from the specs is that we were going to get the same size bins down here, over by the salt dump, and the two over here for bigger recycling, like large cardboard boxes and things like that. The last time I checked, the one in the salt dump is like half the size of what we used to have, and the two recycling ones they're over there somewhere. They're smaller, and we're overflowing, and you know, the wind comes up and things fly out. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with making that to follow the specs. I think those were the specs, but
so
I didn't see them, so I don't know.
The one at the street department, I had talked to Matt about that. We take everything at the landfill. They have a 20-yard open top dumpster, so they're just putting the trash directly in that. So we eliminated that dumpster. There's really no need for it. They have a giant dumpster, and so their trash is just going to go straight into that dumpster, and then that'll just be a part of the rotations that we pull out of that. The two over here, and I talked to Matt about this as well, is when he sent me the original pictures, it looked like the majority of at least one of those dumpsters was actually trash. I think people were probably just using them as trash. So we put a smaller one down here for trash, and then the other one is recycling. That was kind of the understanding, was that if they're using it as trash, it's probably better to have one trash dumpster and one recycling dumpster.
Okay.
And then you might get a better sort of recycling.
Right, I'm confused. Why are people putting trash where they're supposed to be putting recycling?
Welcome to my life.
Big sign up that says this is for recycling only?
I've seen some of the communities that I represent take out the recycling dumpsters because people are using them to throw their trash into. And they're filling up.
Working with Pete on that.
So maybe we should discuss that at some point, because I think people are using it for trash because they don't want to pay for a bill to have trash cans. Is that a possibility, maybe?
It's possible, an overflow, and I think sometimes people just see a dumpster and...
Yeah, we have that trouble with the aluminum cans at the Boy Scouts. When they sort it, there's garbage in there. They'll open the bag up, but it's garbage.
You could have a neon sign. Some people aren't
We
gonna
do
see
have
it.
a sign on there too.
Yeah, some people are going to see it, and frankly, some people aren't going to care. So.
Well, it's a great place to have a camera, you're right, yes, absolutely. All right, well, I'm confused because my understanding is in the bidding process, it was bid based on the specs of what we had before, and then it was the same.
The bidding process was for residential recycling.
Yeah.
But didn't the bid specs also include these over here and that over there?
Those are commercial and individual commercial contract.
Account we had with.
They were not included in the bid.
Oh, all right.
But as far as the public works yard, I worked with Pete on that. The dumpster they had down there, they could only fill 3/4 full anyways because of weight restrictions. So the one they have down there, when they fill it full, it holds the same amount as what they used to.
Okay.
And they had multiple dumpsters that they were separating road debris from limbs and everything. And after talking to Pete, it all goes to the same place.
Yeah.
So AJ has their number, so whenever it needs picked up, all he has to do is call.
Okay, I didn't know that.
To that point, I will say, after discussing with Marcia, one problem that we've had over and over and over again when those were waste management dumpsters is that we would have to call over and over and over again to try to get them to come pick them up because they were overflowing everywhere. Marcia called and County Hauling was there that day and emptied those dumpsters. So they were a lot more receptive, or a lot more responsive as far as emptying those dumpsters that we've had in the past.
Yeah, those are two entirely separate business lines of waste management. It's me and Dalton who run County Hauling. So if you get a hold of us, it'll get taken care of.
Well, hopefully we can do something about these guys throwing the lids like frisbees across and
I'll talk to him, and if any residents have any type of evidence or any, it's hard for me to, because this is another thing, cans blow around. You know, it's not every time a can's falling over, it's not always that, they threw it. They definitely do sometimes, and if I can get them doing that, they'll be disciplined, but I do need.
Yeah, I think there's pictures and videos, but I don't have them.
And it happened with waste management as well, because I have a picture on my phone with looking at my alley and having cans and lids all over the place.
Yeah. This is the other thing, and most of our drivers are waste management drivers. They came directly over about a year ago. So we are a different company. It's a lot. I don't think we have the same people in Verona who are here, but
That's my house, and that's the kid with the shirt. And he also almost scratched my car, metal.
that's the one I was talking about. We've talked to him.
Broke her trash can. I witnessed it. And I went out to address them, and they threw the rest of it.
Okay.
So.
I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
Now, Saturday, they were swearing very loudly and kicking things because it was pouring down rain when they were shortlist emptying my trash. And they were mad because they had to move out of the way because I live on a dead-end street. Somebody was coming up, they had to move their vehicle, so they got out, threw my lid, mother effed it across the yard, took my trash can, dumped it, put mine down. When they went to get my neighbors, my can was in their way. They kicked it, it went flying into my neighbor's yard. And again, mother effed it.
Okay.
I says, I called and I complained. I says, you guys, your crew is sad.
Okay.
Really sad.
And like I said before, I had brought all these with the videos and everything. I didn't actually have the videos, but Pete and I talked Sunday night, and he kept his word. He was coming out. They did a sweep of the whole town, and I appreciate that. And like he said tonight, that he is looking into all those accusations. I guess you could say.
Is it open for comments on the floor? Or are we still
Just one
working?
question. Pete, before the mayor contacted you, did you receive any complaints from residents in town? Did any residents call the company?
What was the weekend, though, too?
To complain about a miss?
The miss, the shirtlessness, the swearing?
We had calls about misses throughout, that's how we know that they're out there and we get back. I think we did get a call on the shirtlessness, which I immediately, as soon as that comes in, it jumps right up from customer service to me, and we handle it with the driver. In terms of complaints, I'm not in day-to-day customer service, and we're a trash company. We get a lot of complaints. So I can't really filter out all of that. But yeah, I'm sure we've had a few.
People posted reviews.
How long have you been in business?
The company is 20 years old. It's been under this ownership for 3.5 years. We pick up 30,000 units a week in the greater Pittsburgh area.
In Greater Pittsburgh. It's all about supporting small businesses.
Yeah.
But you just need to make sure your people are representing your company how you would want them to, because...
That's the exact talk they get when we catch them doing
And I
something
get
that is,
it.
they got county hauling on the side of their truck. It's not their truck, it's ours. And
I run a business too.
Yeah.
You can only do so much with them.
Yeah.
But, I think, number one, when, half the guy, one half's naked, one has some shorts on, like he looks like he just walked off the bus stop.
Yeah.
And one did have a reflective vest on. But I think if they dressed a little cleaner,
We give
and I
them,
get it, they're picking up garbage.
Yeah,
but
we give
you
them
need
the
to have a more
shirts.
professional approach to it.
we give them the shirts and from the waist downs on them. Just because, we burn through shirts at a prodigious rate.
Sure, but
What's that?
Apparently the waist up.
But you should be able to tell them like, hey, khaki pants, khaki shorts, like.
Yeah, yeah.
You can give the guidelines of their dress code.
Yeah.
If they're purchasing themselves, restaurants do it, everywhere does it. I would just say one suggestion would be a more professional look. And I get it, you don't know what people are doing unless we, bring it up to you. But another thing is what kind of communication systems do you guys have? What are we getting billed? When will we see a bill? How will you bill us? Email communication? I don't know anything about that.
I sent out a pretty thorough letter at the beginning, but you'll be billed at the end of the first quarter. So we don't bill in front of our service, we bill after our service. All of the contact information is on our website at countyhauling.com. It's just info@countyhauling.com. And if you need the phone number, it's on the website and it's on the correspondence that was mailed out, which I have a copy of if you'd like, but it might be confusing because
Do you send out email alerts, things like that? Or
we don't have an email.
Sophisticated?
Well, it's not that we're not that sophisticated, it's that we don't have everybody's email address, you know what I mean? So like I said, we pick up 30,000 units a week. If I had a list of 30,000 emails, I'd be...
Do you have an online portal? Because if you have an online portal, it should be able to give the community access to create an account.
Yeah, you can create an account. I'm not sure what we'd be really sending emails out about. We send...
Reminders about the holidays, that's what Waste Management did.
I can look into it. Waste Management's a $19 billion company. So there's some things that they do that we're not going to do until we're at least $1 billion.
Do you have a Facebook page that people can connect to and you can remind? If it's a holiday,
No, it's on the website. And, we can put it on the backs of the bills, a calendar. There's only 6, it's the major ones. It's what do you think they are?
So you'll be sending us a paper bill though?
Yeah.
There's no option for e-billing.
There's an option to pay your bill online, but no, there's no option for e-billing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
One thing for everybody.
Can you come up to the podium, please?
It is a very tough thing to find employees that operate and work like you do.
meaning like the guy who started the company. You want them to represent you. You want them to act like you. Not everybody does that. Everybody's human. Change is the hardest thing a human can do.
Thank you.
If you have any other questions, they have my number, just give me a call.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Okay. Okay, council will now hear comments from the public on agenda items.
Hi, yes, my name is Stephanie Gerbe. I live at 223 Penn Street. I wanted to touch base on what Trish and everybody was talking about. As far as camera goes, that takes months, that takes money, that takes a lot of work. What we need is police presence. The only officer I see out all around Verona is Bill. There's one other officer I see, Tony, parked at his home on breaks for more than 1 hour on several occasions. I see it because I drive past his home when I go home. That's infuriating. We need a police presence. The officers that are on duty, they can drive around, they can walk around. They don't have to be out there all day long. They just need to make a presence. Bill is the only officer that I see. I think that if we had more police presence, we wouldn't have the issue of cameras, because the police are out patrolling our streets. And then we wouldn't have this at 2:30 in the morning. I think our police officers, they work very hard. I want to see more of them. Because it wasn't just this incident. We all know what happened, 3 years ago when Dirty Harry's got broken into? How many times? Next to my business, where I hold animals. Too many things happen on our watch, on our police watch. I don't want to see them at Get-Go. I don't want to see them at their house. I don't want to see them shopping at Giant Eagle. I want them out in the streets, out on the boulevard. I work on the boulevard. You know how many times I see that cop car come by? I don't, at all. So the police presence needs to be addressed. Thank you.
One more thing, sorry. I'm one of the most obnoxious people in Verona.
Okay, hold on.
You need to come.
Come to the podium.
This
Come
is
to the podium, say your name and your address.
Well, also though, this is supposed to be public comment on agenda items under this line item. So if we have comments that are on the agenda items, let's hear those now. And other public comments we have at the end of the meeting. So that's...
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Kenna.
Everybody received the meeting minutes in your email.
Yes.
We would need a motion to accept the meeting minutes.
Make that motion. Okay, motion to approve the meeting minutes for June 11th, 2019. Motion made by Mr. Suchovich. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Conti. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Everybody received in your email, as well as hard copies in front of you, the bills, the check detail and bills. We would need a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
Motion by Mr. Conti. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
The tax collector special taxes report for the month of June. We received real estate taxes for the current year, $10,934.82. For the real estate tax, delinquent real estate taxes, $5,477.80. Real estate transfer taxes of $4,094.44. Earned income taxes for the current year of $27,136.28. Local service taxes for the current year is $733.27.
Can I have a motion to accept the tax collector report?
I'll make the motion to accept the tax.
Motion by Mr. McCarthy. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Conti. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
For the month of June, in the treasurer's report, we began the month of June with $702,709.84. We received $85,073.55 in deposits. We had expenditures of $115,710.10 for the ending balance of $672,073.29.
Can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's.
Motion by Mr. McCarthy, is there a second? Second by Mr. Conti. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Police chief's report.
Evening. This is a report for the month of June. We had 135 complaints, 28 crimes reported, 21 cleared, 7 arrests, 3 crimes code summaries issued, 9 vehicle code summaries issued, borough code summaries issued were 24, and 104 parking tickets were issued. The magistrate's fines collected was $371.99. The borough fines and fees collected was $550, and police reports purchased $15. And the total fines and fees collected was $936.99. And then we had another $160 in parking permit fees. I've been asked to talk a little bit about the North Drive incident, and unfortunately I can't talk about it because it's an ongoing investigation, and I can't bring up anything that might jeopardize the investigation we're trying to do. But I want everybody to realize that it is an ongoing investigation, and we're working on it hard. We had a similar incident a few weeks before that, over by the Hula Bar. And just to give you an idea, I have identified one of the persons involved in that. I have recovered one of the weapons that was used in that incident and stuff. So we are successful in our investigations. It just sometimes takes longer with some than others because the evidence is collected, those types of things. So just wanted everybody to know that we are involved very heavily in following up on that investigation. Talking about cameras, we do have several cameras. We have 3 at the intersection of Allegheny River Boulevard and Center. We have 1 at Park at the river. We have 2 at the park up on the top of the hill. We have 1 on the building here for this park. And I'm in the process right now, and we've been talking about it for several days with the district attorney's office and put one at the other end by the dumpsters and in that parking lot too. We also are in the process of getting some more lighting in that parking lot too, because at night when that clears out, it's pretty dark in that parking lot. So we have been working on that. I've got 100% support from the council members, and I appreciate the support from the public. By the way, tonight, I appreciate that a lot. This council has always supported me and the police department, and we'll keep working on all the issues that are going on in the community, because it's important to us. I take it personal. You know, I don't live on that street, but to me, that's personal too. And just want to let you guys know that we are working on that. And we are successful. Not 100% of the time, but we are successful with these issues. Okay?
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Can I have a motion to accept the police chief's report?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Suchovich, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Conti. Are there any questions?
Yes, I do have a couple questions real quick.
He's talking to Mike.
What do you need?
Okay then.
Ask David.
What do you need?
I just was wondering if anyone had any thoughts as to why we have $1,400 less this year than this time last year in magistrate fines, and why we're down $3,000 on amusement device permit fees this year compared to this time last year. Do you have any idea?
No, I don't. I will look into it and I will give you a call on that.
Thank you.
Okay, motion on the floor. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Fire chief's report.
The fire department had 12 fire calls for the month of June. We participated in the car seat thing with the Lower Valley, and Thank God July 4th wasn't like last July 4th.
Yeah. Can I have a motion to accept the fire chief's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the fire chief's report.
Motion by Mr. McCarthy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Conti. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. EMS report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the month of June, we had 20 responses into Verona Borough, 9 of them being advanced life support calls, 8 being basic life support, 4 patient refusals, 2 lift assist, and 1 cancellation. On June 29th, we held the car seat safety check here at the borough parking lot with cooperation from council, fire department, and Verona Police. We checked 13 vehicles, replaced 1 car seat. For anybody that doesn't know, it made it seem like a low number for 4 hours worth of work, but each car takes about 40 to 45 minutes to inspect properly. Moving forward, we're looking to do one again, hopefully early spring next year. And we'll make those announcements on Facebook. And we'll be working with Verona Fire Department come October for fire prevention week and stuff. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
for doing
Jamie.
that also, Jamie.
Thank you very much.
I only have one more thing.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the EMS report?
I'll make that motion.
Harmony? Nancy?
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Conti. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
The only thing I wanted to add, based on this conversation, and I think Mr. McCarthy is going to speak more on the situation with the police, and one thing that I would love help with is getting the word out that we're hiring part-time officers. We have a hard time getting applications. We are actually pretty competitive as far as compensation. We start within $1 of what Oakmont starts for a part-time officer, and we offer health insurance if they work 24 hours a week. No other part-time department is doing that. So we are competitive, we just can't get applications. So if you know somebody that's looking, that has Act 120 certification and is a qualified police officer, have them apply. We would love to interview them.
Do you post the job anywhere?
We post it on Indeed, and we've shared it on Facebook, and
Oh, you have shared it?
it's really hard. And it's not just us. Oakmont's having the same problem. They can't get applicants. It's very difficult.
Is there a way to share resources with Oakmont, with fire and police? Because, I mean, we're twin boroughs, and both of us having these same issues. Like,
They do, they're both on each other's call cards, so if Verona gets a call during the day, or Oakmont gets a call during the day, they're the first ones on their call card for the fire department. And that's the same for the police. I've seen Oakmont show up to calls with Verona, so it is happening. It does happen. So just so we're aware.
Thank you, Stephanie.
And it is, I know because I was an Oakmont firefighter, so we were on their call card, they were on ours. We do share resources, absolutely.
I can only speak for the Verona Fire Department, and we have, there's 100,000 different run cards you can set up through the county. Maybe not 100,000, but there's a lot of different variations you can do. For anything in Verona, we have a minimum of 3 companies rolling. It could be a brush fire, it could be just a fire alarm with nothing showing. Anything that comes in as a structure fire, we have 5 companies rolling automatically. Us, Verona, Oakmont, Point Breeze, Rosedale, and Thad Stevens. So yes, we are utilizing our services with everybody. And everybody's in the same predicament, fire-wise, as police. You just don't have the manpower. So we're all doing the best we can, and we have good mutual aid resources. So as far as the fire department, that's what I can speak for. We don't always answer the call because our guys are working, but we have somebody coming in to answer for us and help us out.
maybe I used the wrong word. That's great to hear that you all have backup, because we all need responses when an emergency happens. Maybe combine? Consolidate. That's the
Right,
word.
let me,
Thank you.
if I could, Madam President, may I address it real quick? I know we're in somebody's report, though. So what you're talking about is a merger. And I don't know if you guys are aware, it was on the news a lot recently, Springdale Township and Cheswick Borough just merged their police departments. It's the first merger in Allegheny County in over 50 years. Bradmar Pine, up in the North Hills, which is now Northern Regional, when they added Richland Township, is the only other one. So it's a very difficult process because you're dealing with full-time officers that make a certain wage here versus full-time officers that make a certain wage there, their pension system versus our pension system, and to be able to combine that into one chief versus another chief, to be able to combine that into a regional police force is very, very difficult. I can tell you that there's incentives to do it. I mean, from the state down, they want local governments to consolidate. There's too much individualism. I mean, the debt for the police department here in Verona, not the debt, but the budget, and the budget for the police department in Oakmont, that was substantially reduced if the two were to merge. But for whatever reason, it hasn't happened yet. There's been discussions here and there. There's been discussions in a lot of communities that I represent on consolidating. It just, when you have a common border, it makes a lot of sense. The same school district, it makes a lot of sense. It's just something that for some reason or another hasn't been able to be figured out yet. But that is something on the horizon.
Okay, so who pushes the talks forward? Like, does the community have to be more vocal?
The communities can. I can tell you that the county executive has pushed it very hard. I can tell you the district attorney has pushed it very hard. I can tell you that your state representatives are very much in favor of it. So everybody's looking at it, and hopefully that's something that can be done. I know that Oakmont and Verona have talked about it often, so we just have to figure out a way to make it work.
So basically write a call, those folks.
And as far as mutual aid, we do have mutual aid with Penn Hills and Verona.
And I hate to keep talking because we're in the middle of a business meeting, but when somebody said that only one police officer showed up for that shooting, I was shocked because we do have mutual aid. And even if Verona only has one person on duty, Oakmont has 5 or 6 or 10 people on duty. I don't know how many people they have on a shift, but they have a lot, more than we have here. And then Penn Hills has a ton. So it shocks my conscience that somebody from those other communities didn't show up for that call, because they always do. Like Raymond said, the fire companies, they all come to everybody else's call.
And that's what I was wondering too, whenever the cops out there with the kid whose house got shot up, running the streets looking for the shooter.
That's an anomaly.
It is, but I can say for the fire department, I had a house fire at my house 3 years ago. I had 12 fire trucks on my street. I mean, that was amazing support. So, but the support of the police kind of failed on that night.
Sorry, thank you.
That's okay. It's been brought up with the COG too about consolidation and Cheswick and Springdale Township. This has been years in the making. It wasn't something that just happened overnight. I'm talking 8, 10, 12 years. They worked on getting this together.
So what finally did it? How did they make that
I can tell you, I represent Springdale Township, and it was a combination of a lot of factors. It was a combination of the chief of police retiring in Cheswick Borough, so there wasn't the competition between chiefs. They had no other full-time officers in Cheswick at the time. They were a complete part-time force. That helped out. Everything fell into place.
And they got paid very poorly too over there, and I know that because one of my girlfriends actually worked over there, and my soon-to-be son-in-law used to work there before he became a state cop, so I knew what their pay was. Where do you guys solicit your jobs?
We'll post it on Indeed.
On Indeed. Is that the only place that the jobs are solicited? Are you guys reaching out to the
For police, we've been, for the police, the mayor's been working with the police academy.
Okay.
Every borough and township in this area is facing the same predicament. They can't get people to put an application in. A lot of the boroughs that I represent in townships are increasing their wages to be even more competitive. When Jerry told me today that Verona Borough offers healthcare, I've been here since the early 2000s, and that's something I didn't know. I mean, nowhere, no community that I represent does that. And if I said to Jerry, I said, I bet the police officers don't even know that. He said, I'm sure they don't. That's what he said, we got to get that word out, because nobody is being able to get part-time officers to apply. Everybody's starting a full-time police force. Schools are starting full-time police force. The Port Authority now has a police force. The Duquesne University has it. There's so many full-time jobs out there that part-time officers are so hard to find now.
And two last things to sum it up. As I said on the porch when we all met, we do offer health care, vacation time, uniform allowance, partial uniform allowance, I should say, and I believe like a personal day is in that also. And to sum it up, I meet with four mayors: Verona, Oakmont, Penn Hills, Plum, and Monroeville. Actually, we have a meeting next Thursday. We meet once a month, and this has been brought up. And I'm going to find some more information on that because they have gone down to talk to Fitzgerald. It was during the day and I couldn't make it. And Monroeville, and do you deal with Monroeville, Craig? Monroeville District. They just hired 3 police officers, and I had told you this, but I'll tell everybody else. And they usually get 100 applicants, and they got 23. For 3, and their pay rate starts probably at 50, 55 to start.
Minimum, they're higher than the highest in the area.
And it may even be more, and that's full benefits too.
A lot.
So from 100 down to 23, it's like any industry anymore.
I think the younger generation doesn't want to do much work and when they can go work at Sheets for 12, 15 bucks an hour, they're going to go there.
Exactly.
It's a scary profession, too. I don't know if I would want to be a policeman, ever. Okay, thank you.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you.
How about the applications?
Oh, yeah, one other thing. We received a lot of applications for the part-time streets department. Dom and I are gonna meet tomorrow and sort through, I think we've got like 25, 26 applications at this point. And our plan is to go through, narrow it down to maybe 5 or 6, and then have interviews by the end of this week or early next week and make a decision. And then we ratify for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Then once that happens, then we can start getting rolling on all the things that we're behind on.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Mayor?
Just a few things. I was going to bring up about North Avenue, but they've already did. Same way with the garbage. And I thank Pete, he's not here, for getting back to me on Sunday. And, I told him I needed him here, and he agreed to come. A couple other things. Lisa, is that Lisa, right? Thank you for bringing that up because I didn't know about this program, and I did get in touch with Duquesne Light, and I'm going to turn this over to our borough manager and the engineer. It's called Cobra Head Street Lighting. They'll come in and do one street with 10 lights on it, and it's the removal charge is $109 for each one. And, this would be up to Matt, because I don't know nothing about the wattage. It goes anywhere from 45 to 219, and then that's equivalent on the LED, or the LEDs to 70 to 1,000 watts, or vice versa, I'm sorry. But it is a very nice program, and the initial cost is $1,090 that the borough would have to pay, and it has to be in by September 1st. Are you aware of this program, Matt?
I vaguely am. I can look into it.
Yeah, it's got to be filled out, they told me, by September 1st. We got to pick the streets, and all the information's there. And I do have his name, the contact name, it's in my phone.
David, I was wondering if you could address it too. I'm talking a long time ago, probably 12, 15 years ago, when you were on council with Mr. Hendricks and Mr. Fatulis, Ms. Suchovich. Weren't there certain street lights that were turned off?
Councilman Nick Fatulis, he's actually our county councilman right now. None of you probably here that remember or weren't here. We had, like, for instance, up by the Eagles up there was 4 street lights, one on every corner, and that was a waste of money. So we took 2 of them out. Going up, I believe it was Center Avenue, they had a light here, all the way up. It was very well lit, but it all cost money. And I think we probably took maybe about 25 out throughout the town. But we didn't darken the community, we just, in fact, if you go up by St. Joe's Church, I guess he missed that from 2nd Street to 3rd Street, you will see, there's probably 4 street lights from that block, from 2nd to 3rd. It's very well lit. I mean, we're all paying for that. 2 of them could have been removed and it would have still done the same, the amount of lighting.
Well, the thing is, that kind of looks on the bottom half of our street, it looks like we have 3 on the bottom. It looks like every other pole has a
And the
light.
trees are playing an effect on that also.
David, can we make this public comment at the end? I mean, just so we can continue with the meeting
Sure.
here.
We'll make it
Okay. Do you have anything else, Mayor?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I want to bring up 2 other things. One of them is, we had talked about the food trucks. I know Mr. Steinhaus, when he was our code enforcement officer, he came up with the idea of putting food trucks on the main street, and I was against it because at lunchtime, we have a lot of traffic and everything. And since we have the stone wall up there and other people that would like to use it, I'd like to see them there, maybe like on a Friday or Saturday in the evening after 6 o'clock. Traffic is less, there's hardly any tractor trailers on the road, and that would have to be up to the board. And I don't know if that would help, you with your business. Josh is here, the owner of Stonewall. But I would like to revisit that, and if so, if you want to do it on a trial basis for 3 months, to see.
They're currently put on South, correct?
I'm sorry?
They're currently put on South Avenue?
No, it'd be right on the boulevard.
I understand that, but according to the ordinance, Nancy, the food trucks are put on they can be put on South Avenue, they don't have to be put on the boulevard.
That is a possibility, yes, but it's not something that I'm explored because it's so far away from the actual storefront.
Does the road being a state?
Hold on, we'll get to another period of public comment at the end of the meeting. We gotta finish the business up here.
But that's what, something that, I'd like the board to discuss and, not prolong it because, we're already into July and, we're kind of at the peak season, so.
Can we discuss this at our monthly meeting?
You can discuss it anytime you want. The workshop meeting's the perfect time to do it.
But we don't have no workshop meetings.
No, you can do it now, sure.
Okay, so, Mr. Suchovich, my concern is the emergency traffic. God forbid there's an accident like that happened up on Salzburg Road a week ago.
Well, I think one of the biggest concerns would be the width of the vehicles, the width of the food truck. That boulevard's narrow as it is. That would be my big concern.
But after 6 p.m., my thought would be that there'd be less traffic on there. On a Friday and Saturday night.
Maybe, I'm just saying, I would somehow try to get measurements or put a food truck there, park another vehicle across the street and look to see how wide it is. Because I know even with your own, like 2 pickup trucks parked across the street from each other, it's pretty narrow. And you put a wider food truck, I'm not against it, I'm just saying, I think it could be something that could be looked into, but you need to put an actual food truck there with parking across the street from it and see what it looks like, and see if vehicles can get through there. And I know we could get a truck down there and see, that would be no problem, but I just think it needs to be researched with actual vehicles sitting there.
I can tell you this, Ray, as a point of reference, and it makes no difference to me whether it's a councilmatic decision, but over in Springdale Borough, they have the Leaning Cask Brewery Company, and I don't know if you've ever been over there, but Springdale Borough allows them to have a food truck Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and maybe Sunday. I can't remember however many days they're open, they're allowed to have a food truck there. And that Pittsburgh Street is a very narrow street. I don't know how it compares to the Boulevard. But it's I'm sorry?
Boulevard's bigger.
Bigger. Pittsburgh Street's a very narrow street, and there are tractor trailers that go through there often. So somehow they've been able to make it work. I think that your suggestion is to get some sort of either an actual truck or something that,
You could put a cone there or something, get a measurement.
And see how it
Put a
goes.
cone and see how it goes. Maybe even make the old Fatulis is parked on the side. On that side, maybe no parking while the food truck's there. Maybe we could look into something like that.
Put a checkpoint.
You know?
So-
I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm just saying.
Once this was brought up, whenever Dave brought it up before, I talked to Matt, we talked about the leading cast, we did some measurements per GPS. It looks like Pittsburgh Street and Allegheny Boulevard are just about the same. One difference is, and I was part of the discussion at the beginning and said that it would be a bad idea to have food trucks there, but Pittsburgh Street actually has almost double the traffic that Allegheny Boulevard
Really?
does, surprisingly. I have had my mirror clipped there. It is narrow, but it's working in Springdale, and it's more traffic, and it's the exact same width. I don't know that, it's not my decision. I really don't have any force in this race. but-
Solicitor, can we do it on a trial basis?
Absolutely.
I mean, with an ordinance, there's an ordinance, can we do it on a trial
Amend the
basis?
ordinance.
You can amend the ordinance, or you can waive that provision on an interim basis to check it out and see if it's worth doing.
Make a motion to
Allow it.
allow it for 30 days?
30, I think you probably want a little more, I'd say 90 days.
90 days?
Want to exec for that, or? No? Okay, I don't know. Okay.
Okay, can I have a motion to break into exec for discussion?
No, you discuss it first. Motion,
Oh, okay.
second.
Is there a motion made?
Is there a motion
I'll make a
made?
motion,
I'll second it.
Well, hold on, go ahead, Ray, make the motion.
and help me out here, I'll make the motion
To allow?
that to allow the food trucks
90-day period.
for July and August. Or do we want to go July, August, September?
July and August is good.
July and August, on a trial basis, to see how it works out.
Are we doing a time frame, or are we doing
And
any time?
the mayor,
As far as time of day?
7 to,
I was gonna say 6 onwards would be probably ideal for setup and whatnot for the food trucks because they need some time to get there.
And you start getting running at
that's what they
7
do.
o'clock.
That's what they get there around 6 and they start selling food around 7.
Right.
I don't think the later night's the biggest issue. I think it's more rush hour.
What time are you
Right.
usually open?
Right.
I open 12 to 9.
To 9.
Most of the days of the week, so 12 to 11 on the weekend, so I'll be around and I can get like a no parking sign, I'll do the permits, however you guys would like to do that, to actually have the spots in front of my place available for the food trucks. So they can set up at, let's say, 6 o'clock.
Just 6 to, he's open till 11 on Saturdays, so do 6 to 11.
6 to 11?
6 to 11.
Okay, motion on the floor to approve the food trucks for a 2-month period, July and August, for food trucks to be on the boulevard from 6 to 11 p.m. by Mr. Suchovich. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Loalbo. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say.
And since this wasn't on the agenda, we have to give the public a quick opportunity to provide a comment as well.
Okay. Comments?
I work on food trucks. They're all converted Winnebagos, guys. They'll fit. Trust me. Okay, this is what I do for a living. All right, so.
Not all food trucks are the same, because the K-Dogs, hot dogs, like, there are several different ones that do have the wood burning, whatever they are. So some are a little bit different.
They're a little bit, but these guys, this is what they do. This is what we do. And we need an hour's worth of setup, and then close everything down. The one thing that is really needed because of Allegheny health codes, okay, is access to water. If there's any outdoor spigot, because these guys, we need to do our dishes at the end of the night. So outdoor spigot or some sort of access to water, maybe the borough would be willing to accommodate that.
Well, that would be on the business.
That would be on the business.
I have water on premises.
Big, every food truck at the end of the night is all looking at their gallon jug containers, praying that there's enough water there to get all the dishes done, so.
I just came to say thank you, Dave, and thank you for the council for this opportunity too. And as a side note, with the business that I opened, and I'm sure the business that the Intergroove folks opened, we're bringing in people into Verona, and that's been something that I'm actually very proud of. Amongst like all of the people that I've met and got to know here, you know, it's not just the locals that are coming. That's why we came to this community, but like bringing people in, like on a regular basis now. I've got a lot of people that come in from Cranberry, the North Hills, you know, Plum, I mean, like way out, you know, way out. Like I've had many people, you guys, I think were here at somebody on the council was in the shop, I forget who, when I had people from Indiana, Illinois, not Indiana, the state, not Indiana, PA, you know, coming through because they said, we're going to stop and we're going to see this town. And they come to the gas station, they come to the smoke shop, they come to the grocery store, they come to all of these places because there's a destination location there. And the opportunity to bring in more people on a regular basis and to stop more traffic coming through, because as you said, there might be more traffic on other, you know, Pittsburgh Street, I'm not familiar with the road.
Pittsburgh Street's it's the main street
yeah,
through.
Yeah, so I mean, like, as much as I may not be familiar with that, stopping some people occasionally in this town is going to be a good thing, and I thank you for allowing me to at least give that a shot. I wasn't prepared to say anything today, but generally speaking, thank you all for being behind me and the other businesses that are opening up right now, because we are all trying to bring in as many people as possible into this town, because it's a good town. I like it. Great. Thank you. I like being here. But anyway, thank you, Dave.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to add, I was fumbling around looking for the ordinance, which I found.
Okay.
And I, you know, as much as possible, try to look through here. And someone else can certainly take a look, but I don't see anywhere where it says which streets they can be on and which
There was a
streets they
map
can't
that
be on.
accompanied that, and there were highlighted parts.
Let's just bring it into the ordinance committee and we'll look at it there. But right now, we're voting to make it a temporary thing right now anyway.
If we had an old one, this one became the current one. So,
Yeah.
so, anyway.
We done with that? One last thing.
We haven't voted on this, Dan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The audience.
Everybody stops and
Made a motion in a second. It wasn't in a second.
There's a motion on the floor made by Mr. Suchovich, second by Mrs. Loalbo. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, real quick, there's a woman that called me from Seneca Hills Village, Mrs. Spentler, and I think it's a very good idea. You know, naturally, they have a bus that holds, I think she said, 15 people, 16 people or something, and she would like to, this will be in the fall, I got to get with Oakmont too, because she wanted Verona and Oakmont, you know, they would do a trip, basically, and come down and have somebody ride with them to show them all the key spots in Verona. And I was thinking, and I haven't told them yet, but if I put this together, I'd like to, you know, Frank Santucci, he's been here a long, long time, and he knows the history of Verona, and that's what they're looking for. I just wanted to bring that up to the board, that going to work on something like that to bring the elderly people from Seneca Hill Village down, and they want to learn about the history of Verona.
Okay, Mr. Santucci's on a walker now, and I'm not sure why. Yes. So, I mean,
I think he's over here Saturday. Was he over here Saturday? I'll stop and see him. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I did turn that in, but I guess Marcia must have missed it, you know, my comments. That's all I have.
Just have a handful of things. I gave everybody this joint paving equipment sheet from the COG. The equipment's ready to roll. So the paving equipment especially, so I'm looking at the alleys between North and Parker that we've been talking about for years. And also the alley between 3rd and 4th, the 600 block that Mr. Paradise submitted a letter to us several months ago. I think this is the opportune time. Reservations are being made now. So if we could somehow put the guys on the agenda, you'll see on this sheet my notes that I took that night. This is just the initial guidelines. The maximum reservation period is contingent on the weather, of course, so if we get rain in that and you're scheduled to have the equipment for 5 days, and 4 of the 5 days it's raining, I mean, they're going to extend it. The storage of the paving equipment during municipal use, that's the most intricate equipment that they have there, so we would have to somehow figure out how it's going to get into the garage. And then also, when scheduling, it's okay to put out the offer. So these two gentlemen that are, Tony and Tim, that are in with other boroughs, municipalities within the COG, they would send their employees, they each have a guy that is an expert on the equipment, and they would be willing to pay for their guys to come over to us to help our guys learn how to use the equipment and get the job done. Then in the future, we might have to free up one or two of our guys to go to another municipality. So it's a nice opportunity.
And this will help, since if we can get these part-timers in here.
That would be great.
That would free up a lot of time.
That would be great. I also gave everybody their community dinner. I passed this out back in June. I gave everybody a summary of what they said that they would purchase and bring. I talked with Shirley Davis today and found out a few more things. That setup is around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The busy time seems to be around 5:30. She asked that when council comes, if they would park either on Brunot Street or the Lower Center Avenue, because the places around the church there are for handicap, but they also want to leave the places there available for the people who are coming in. You have your summary there of what you're to bring. Shirley and I are going to meet on Monday, August 6th at 4 o'clock. So if you could have your food and everything done here at the Borough Building. If you need to bring it in on Monday morning or Sunday afternoon or whatever, we can use the refrigerator here in the borough. And then Shirley and I will meet here at 4 o'clock on Monday, and I'll help her get the food and that up to the church so that it can start getting ready, because she's going to make the macaroni and cheese. So the cooking and everything she'll get everything started. If you remember a couple weeks back, I had submitted the plan for Live Well Allegheny, and I don't know where the heck my papers went to. Oh, here. We were accepted into their program. We received a letter from County Councilman Nick Fatoulis that the Allegheny County Health Department announced today the Verona Borough and Bridges and Bourbon of Penn Avenue Restaurant have joined the Live Well Allegheny campaign. Now participating are 67 communities, 51 restaurants, 32 workplaces, and 18 school districts. It says, "Welcome Verona and Bourbon and Bridges. We are grateful to have you and to see even more organizations join us in an effort for a healthier community," said Fitzgerald. "We are most successful when we all work together. We look forward to having even more communities, restaurants, workplaces, and schools join us in this campaign for greater wellness." We have our emblem here that they submitted. So it is Live Well, Verona Borough. So, in addition to the banner community, we are now a Live Well community. And I thank Council's help with helping me to accomplish those two things, and for all of Verona community.
Can we ask a question?
Public comment, please. I thought this was very interesting, and I wanted to bring it out to all of your attention because I know we have retired teachers in the classroom, people with advanced certifications. Riverview graduated 59 students this year. 56 staff walked the line with them, and that wasn't everybody, okay? 7 or 8 students did not graduate, either because of not having enough credits, or not attending, or they just plain old dropped out. I think it's pathetic. I got my school district taxes this past week. I'm sure everybody else in the room got theirs too. Mine are probably 4 times as much as my real estate taxes are to Verona. Okay, we have 9 administrators in the district servicing 979 students, and 7 or 8 students don't graduate because they don't have enough credits. How can that be? Who's watching them? Who isn't watching them? There was a community meeting, school board meeting in June at Verona Elementary in our town, and there were no Verona representation. Myself and the rest of the people there were Oakmont. I don't know if anybody saw the article in the Penn Hills Progress on July 4th, written by Mr. DiVittorio. It said here, and I'm not going to mention the person's name here, that the district needs to do more to address rising costs and think about what it can and should afford. I think we need to signal to the community that we have to do a lot more to address the structural deficit. There's not enough community support, at least in terms of who shows up at meetings to support really taking care of things in this way. I don't know, I might be the only person in the room concerned about this, but if Riverview School District bellies up, I think it's a very good possibility that Verona could become Penn Hills. The back part of the hill is Penn Hills already. We have a 15147 zip code in a lot of Penn Hills, and Penn Hill sewers come into Verona. So who's to say that Verona doesn't become Penn Hills? When we're paying, when our school taxes went up, okay, not significantly, not like 3 years ago when it went up the max, but it still went up. So I don't know what we're paying for when we have 56 staff members and a 59 student graduating class when 8 students don't graduate. Now, I talked with some teachers of these students that didn't graduate, and I said, what was done, what wasn't done? Well, phone calls are made home, but they're not getting any luck getting parents to get their kids to come to school. I said, so what did the administrators do? And they don't know. They don't know what the administrators do. But we have administrators in Riverview School District with 979 students getting 6-digit salaries. And board members saying there's not enough community support.
Classes are higher.
Hold on, we'll have public comment
That's fine.
here at the end.
This petition that went around, I am not making light of what happened. I was disgusted when I heard what happened on North Avenue, and it made me sick in my stomach. It made me sick in my stomach when we heard about the incident down here at the Hula Bar. But I think a lot of this, when you don't talk with the police chairperson and mayor, I'm very disappointed in that the offer to attend the meeting wasn't open to everybody on council. I only found out about it through the grapevine.
If we would have
Days later.
If we would have had a workshop, I was
Sylvia
going to
was
bring it
there.
up.
How did she find out? I didn't contact Sylvia.
Sylvia, how did you find out?
I was invited as a resident.
Yeah, she lives on our street.
So, but my
Dan, when you and
concern
I
is,
talked, you said you wanted to talk to the mayor.
I want to talk to the mayor.
Yeah.
And his wife invited the rest of
Right.
our street.
Right.
and that's okay.
And I was going to inform the board, like I always do. The police committee, and Craig has said, they hire, they fire, and grievance. That's all they do.
And that's okay. Okay, I'm just saying, as a council person, I'm disappointed that I wasn't also involved, because Verona isn't just that section. We have issues in District 2. We have issues in District 1. We have issues in District 3. So maybe it could have been.
Why don't you address those
That's what
issues?
the reason we met as a neighborhood is because the shooting happened and we
This
were trying to
isn't,
figure out how to come.
can I continue with the business and you can open it up at the public comment?
You feel comfortable
Okay,
with.
when you're done being disappointed in me, a resident, because I didn't inform you, then I'll pay attention to what you have to say.
I didn't say I was disappointed in you. I said I was disappointed in the mayor.
And I'm impressed by the
that
mayor,
things didn't
so
come
hence
up.
you're disappointed in me for being impressed by the mayor.
Okay, whatever, I'm not going to argue with you. Mr. McCarthy, would you please continue?
I've read this, Concerned Citizens. I talked to Trish today. I'm very proud of our police department. In this country right now, we cannot get police officers, not only in this borough, but in this country. Okay? The police officers are not respected any longer. When you have 6 police officers who stop in a Starbucks to get coffee and are standing there discussing something, and a citizen tells a manager that he feels that they feel unsafe with the police officers there, and the manager, excuse me, asks the police officers to leave, that's embarrassing. Okay? 1976, when I graduated from the police academy, they told me then that Metropolitan Policing was coming to Allegheny County. Where's Metropolitan Policing? 43 years later, you have one department that's even going towards Metropolitan Policing. You talk about going to Oakmont, people have said that. That's fine. Do you know what a police officer starts at in Oakmont? Does anybody have an idea? $60,000, folks. That's what a starting patrolman makes in Oakmont. Penn Hills, $64,000. We don't pay that kind of money. If we merge, we're going to have to come up with salaries that will match some of that, which means your taxes are going up.
That's why we need more people. You're good.
Okay? It's not that we don't want to hire people. We would hire more part-time officers to put out there. They don't come. We haven't had an application in 6 months. People do not want to become police officers. You said you have a future son-in-law that's a state trooper. Had a hard time getting in, didn't he?
No.
No. Why? Because there's not a lot. And they have a great retirement program.
Yes, they do, and they sit there and they do half the work.
20 years on the job, regardless of age, they walk away with 50% of their highest year with overtime. 25 years, regardless of age, they walk out the door with 75% of their pension, of their highest year. Okay? And yes, they work single-man cars. And I know after midnight now, between midnight and 5 a.m., they have to ride 2-man cars now. Prior to that, they always rode single-man cars. In the county of Butler, in any one night, you would have 4 troopers for the entire county. And if that trooper, if they were on a call or an accident, red balling it to the other end of the county could take him 40, 45 minutes. Okay? You talked about the police officer getting out on his own here. They may not have been backed up because those officers in Oakmont and Penn Hills are on other calls. They can't go, oh, we got to drop the call. Because you wouldn't feel right if somebody walked in to your place and was standing there and said, oh, I'm sorry, I got to go back up this.
By no means was anything negative.
I didn't take it as negative.
You're coming at me like I'm saying it's
No,
negative. I
no.
did nothing but support
Listen
the
to-
police officer.
Let me finish, please.
But don't yell at me.
I'm not yelling. I'm very
looking at me,
frustrated.
raising your
I'm very frustrated by this. Not by you.
Not by me, so
No,
don't
no,
direct it.
I'm not. I'm talking to you because directly because of what you made the comment about it.
Yes.
And I don't take it negatively. I'm upset that poor officer had to get out by himself.
So am I.
But that's the nature of the business, folks. And that's the unfortunate part in that line of business. I spent 28 years, 22 of it I worked in narcotics. So I know what it's like. And I feel bad for those officers, and I felt very bad for you having to see that he didn't have a backup.
Another criminal is helping a cop look for another criminal.
I understand that.
That's the case.
I understand that. But the unfortunate part is, folks, is that no matter where you live, things are going to happen. Because when bad people want to do things, bad people are going to do them. And they don't care whether you live in a nice neighborhood or a crummy neighborhood. Okay?
We're not.
And no, I didn't say that. What did I say? I says it doesn't matter whether you live in a nice neighborhood or a crummy neighborhood. A criminal is, if he's bound and determined to do something, he doesn't care.
Right.
So he's going to...
But we do care, so we want to help you.
I understand that. But we can't help you because we can't get police to work.
We can do an organized watch.
Okay, that's fine. And that's why the chief was here, and that has to be addressed with the chief. Okay? And that's great. You know, the old saying, and people have forgotten a lot about it, but if you see something, say something. You can call 911. And report it, or report something anonymously. It may not mean anything to you, but do it. That's all I'm saying. It's fine that people want to get involved, and that's great, and I appreciate it, and I think that the police will appreciate it. And I didn't mean to look at you, and I was just responding to your comment that he had to be there by himself. I didn't want you to think that I was taking it out on you.
Well, basically what you were saying is downplaying what my comment was.
No, not at all.
Because I care about that cop.
I do too, and I know you did, and I understand
don't like
that.
a criminal helping a cop look for another criminal.
Well,
that's my problem.
Well, sometimes criminals like to help cops because they want to know what's going on so that they don't get caught.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
Believe me, I know. So I'm just saying, your ideas are good. You need to follow through and stay with them. But we are trying to do the right things. You know, you talked about grants for cameras. Folks, we know about grants. Well, let me tell you, every community here is applying for those grants. And when those grants are written and those people look at them, they look around and they go, where are they needed more? What communities? It doesn't matter that you feel that you need them here and that we feel we need them here. They look and say, where do we need them more? Where do those cameras, where do we put that money into communities that need them more than we do? And that's a problem.
How many grants have we applied for here?
Probably about 3 or 4.
In the last, how many years?
The chief? I'd probably say...
Chief does that, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure exactly over the last couple of years, but I had a conversation with the DA's office yesterday in trying to set up a meeting with Mr. Zappala to get more cameras. Okay, so we're not sitting here doing nothing, but it takes a long time. And that's the problem, that, you know, everybody's buying for that little bit of money to get those that money into their communities.
And we're not blaming you.
No, I'm not taking it.
Not just you guys sitting up here. It takes the whole community to do something. So
I don't disagree.
Think that we're coming at you, yelling at you.
I'm not taking it that way. I'm just letting you know I'm as frustrated as you are about this.
And it gets frustrating because Mr. McCarthy and I have both attempted to get a hold of Mr. Zappala, and we had things in motion, and somebody within the room got involved that shouldn't have gotten involved without our knowledge, and it now has delayed the appointment that we were trying to make with them. So that was my reasoning. When I made the phone calls and wasn't getting anywhere, I called Mr. McCarthy up and asked him to please please pursue this for me. And that's what he was told.
Now, was this just a meeting between you two and Mr. Zappala, or was this?
That meeting has not come to fruition.
We're trying to get it, okay?
I talked to him at the Alum Conference, and I told him that we needed to get in touch with him, and he said, please wait for a while. It was election time, folks. He was running for DA, okay? So, you know, we're trying to do that, you know? So we are trying to do things.
And I think it's just a matter of communication.
Can we keep the...
I understand that.
I'm sorry. Can we keep the meeting moving?
I'm done.
There's
I
public
mean,
comment
I
at
think
the
I've
end.
addressed everything, and I understand your frustration, and our frustration is just as bad. But there's sometimes, let me tell you, government moves slowly, unfortunately. I spent 22 years in the state, and believe me, it moves slowly. Okay? You know, oh, there's no money, and then all of a sudden they find money, and then they want to do stuff. But you have to understand that you go to these meetings, you talk to these people, and they, yeah, but then some other community that has major shootings or major crime problems, guess what? They're going to get the money before we do. Because we don't have the major problems that a lot of other communities do, fortunately. So be active, take a look, write stuff down, and turn it into the police. Turn it on a piece of paper and drop it off in an envelope if you don't want to, you know, put your name on it. And the police will look at it and go from there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pitch.
Just a few quick things. All the signal equipment is installed. Mark and I are working with Duquesne Light to get the power hooked up. Once the power's hooked up, it will be put on the flashing for the mandatory period. I believe it is 10 days before it will actually go into full operation. We hope to have that done pretty soon here. We're just waiting on Duquesne Light. The First Street Reconstruction Grant, we received those, the final paperwork and the contract. Craig reviewed it. We're good to go, so we'll be mailing that back and should be getting the go-ahead with that. The CDBG projects that were awarded this year, the sanitary lining and the Center Avenue Road reconstruction, those will be completed and going out to bid early August. The demos on 4th Street, the county is paying for the asbestos surveys, so we're more or less on their time as well to complete those. I opened bids for the 2019 paving today. Holbein was the low bidder, and that is for the project on 2nd Street in combination with Penn Hills. The total bid is $125,687.50, which also included an item for $2,800 on Penn Hills side for painting of the concrete island. I broke it out preliminary. 90% of the road in that area is in Verona, so $102,125 would be roughly Verona's share, and Penn Hill's share would be $26,362. I did send an email to their manager to see if they wanted to award that extra $28,000, and I did not hear from him yet. At this point, I would request a motion to award the whole buy, depending on the response from Penn Hills.
Okay, can I have a motion to award the bid to Holbein, depending on Penn Hill's response?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Conti, second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
Where's this starting, Matt?
It's starting at the concrete slabs by the concrete island there, and it's going up to Wood Street.
Up to Wood Street?
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a question. Is there a match on this for us?
This is not a grant.
This is our annual paving. It comes out of the liquid fuels.
Oh, and we have sufficient funds to cover that?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a grant for something.
And you said,
The First Street's the grant.
Right, okay.
Matt, you said Verona's share is going to be how much?
Roughly $102,000.
Okay.
It will change slightly due to quantities installed, but that's what's field measured right now.
Okay, got it. Okay, motion on the floor made by Mr. Conti, second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
And with that, I will make sure I work with Craig, so we have a reimbursement agreement in place before we actually award it. That way we know Penn Hills is gonna pay for their share. And the only other thing, I was reading over this Duquesne Light program. They will actually provide up to 100 lights per municipality, so that can either be 10 streets, or their requirement is it has to be continuous lighting. So if one street would have 20 lights, you could possibly do all 20 on that street. It is due September 1st, so I can work with the police and the road crew to try to find the best areas to do so. If we apply for all 100 lights, it would be $10,900. So I would just ask for a motion to go ahead and apply for the 100 lights.
Okay, can I have a motion for Mr. Pitch to move forward and apply for the 100 lights with Duquesne Light?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Dr. Carpenter.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Conti. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
And that's all I have unless there's questions.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander.
Thank you, Madam President. A few things to report on. As I mentioned at last month's meeting, we were to have 4 hearings at the magisterial district judge with regard to regulated rental license violations. We had those, well, we didn't have all 4 of the hearings. We resolved 2 of those cases with the violators without having to go to a hearing. One of them didn't show up, and we obtained a default judgment. And on the 4th one, there was a defense verdict, as the owner of the property was able to demonstrate to the judge that there was no separate living unit for a tenant, that their son-in-law lived in the same dwelling unit as they did. And the magisterial judge found that to be credible and ruled in their favor. So we were successful in 2 of those. We were successful in 3 of the 4 license hearings, 2 with resolutions and 1 through a default judgment. I issued 2 of the outdoor cafe permits, I believe 1 to the Stonewall and 1 to the Intergroove. Mrs. Trubicki Bell asked me to look into an Airbnb ordinance. I obtained a draft copy of one from a neighboring community that we're going to put into our committee that meets on the 4th Monday of every month, and try to tailor something to the needs of Verona Borough. And once we do that, we'll bring it back to the full council for review. Prepared and sent to every member of council and the mayor an application for special event permit, which would permit the sale or consumption of alcohol in the parks. Dr. Carpenter will have more to report on that later, and I can address that further at the time if necessary. I just want to say thank you to everybody that showed up today. I just want you to know, as the lawyer sitting here today, that the things that you said have reached my ears from everybody sitting here. So it's not something that these guys aren't addressing, and you know, certain people say things one way, certain people say things another way, but every one of them are saying things to me and asking me, hey, Craig, is it legal to do this? Hey, Craig, is it legal to do that? What can we do to help these folks out? So that's being done up here with these 7 people plus the mayor. And I just want you to know that. And with regard to me saying, hey, we got public comment at the end of the meeting, hey, thank you for your patience, because it's a natural reaction to want to speak out when you hear something that pops into your head at the moment. And to have a business meeting like we have every month, and a lot of you guys aren't here, and in the old days, it was just a free-for-all. So it's been years making this money, and Rhoda was involved a lot of that back in the day, making this a more professional atmosphere. So when I say, hey, there's public comment at the end of the meeting, it's not to silence you at all. It's just to get through the business portion of the meeting. So thank you for being patient And this guy right here has been patient all meeting long, and he really wants to speak, so we're going to get to you very quickly. That's all I had to report. Thank you again.
Thank you. Mr. Conti.
I just have two quick things. We had I got a call from our fire chief a couple days ago. We had a tree down on High Street. I sent the road crew up. It was too big of a tree. It was on wires. It was too much for them to take care of. So we have a tree company on emergency call list. I called them and had them come and take care of it. And Jerry will be getting a bill for it here shortly. And while I'm talking about trees, we should look into wildwood again. The trees hanging over wildwood, maybe get to those before it gets out of control like it was before. Especially with all the rain we've had, those trees are going to start loosening up with the ground being so soft. Wouldn't want them to start falling down and hitting cars. So we might have to start looking into that. I'll try getting some bids for that if council's interested in doing that. And that's all I have.
I think you need to do that, Don, before there's an accident there or a tree comes down on a car.
Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Carpenter.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I just want to say that I appreciate all the comments and ideas that were presented here tonight. And what I get from that, also, besides everything that you guys said, is how much you all really care about the community. And I want to let you know that I became a member of council because of my care for the community, and I'm the chairperson of the ordinance committee. So if there's anything that you can think of that you would like me to do as the head of that committee, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. So I wanted to say that to start off with. Everybody has a copy of the special event permit application that Craig was referring to. There's been a couple of changes. There's some typos that were corrected, but the main change...
Minor typos.
Yes, minor typos, very minor. Thank you. On the page that says applicant information for internal use, it's spelled out about the insurance that is required, and I believe it's also, you added it somewhere else on here too.
On the big bolded part at the end of the first page.
The capital letter.
Capital.
Yeah. So I think that was one of the big concerns that was coming from our discussions, and barring any other additions that anybody wants to make to this permit process. It's a 3-page application. I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve this as our special event permit application.
Okay, motion on the floor made by Dr. Carpenter to approve the special event permit application.
Second.
Second by Mr. Suchovich. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, thank you. I also just want to report that all of the E-Code 360 has been completed. If you go on the E-Code 360 website, you'll see that there's an area on the menu that says new laws. And all of our new laws are listed there. They're not going to stay there forever. They're going to get swallowed up into their appropriate chapter. But right now you can see, I think there's about 25 of the new ordinances that are there. And so that, as far as what we need to do, we're done. And we'll know when they're done when we get the bill, which we agreed on several months ago. So that's taken care of. And then the ordinances that Mr. Alexander referred to, we'll be talking about. Actually, the meeting this month is going to be the 5th Tuesday, I think we agreed on. Monday. Sorry. The 5th Monday, because I'm going to be out of town on the 4th Monday. I wanted to bring up a couple of other things. You sparked my interest, Dom, when you talked about trees on Wildwood. And at some point, I wonder if the guys could look at trees on West Railroad that are coming off the the little hillside there that comes down from the railroad. There's just a lot of trees that,
Did you say on West Railroad?
West Railroad.
It's on the railroad property.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Oh, ask them to take a look at it. Chances are they're gonna say they can't do it because it's railroad property. We tried doing stuff on railroad property before and we got it handed to us. So I'll ask him to go down and look and see if there's something that can be
Whether they even think that
done.
it's something to be concerned about?
The railroad?
No.
Oh.
The trees. There's very big trees that have very overhanging.
I understand that, but what he's saying is that is on railroad property.
So maybe you can get in touch with the railroad, and if they think that there's some danger or something that needs to be handled.
I'll talk to AJ about it and have him go down and look, and he can let me know if it's all railroad property or if it's not, and I'll go from there. But I think it's all railroad property. I'll have him go down and look at it.
Okay, thank you. Also, today there was a little bit of a scare with our watering machine for the flowers. Not quite sure what the complication was, but it's been dealt with pretty easily, but it brought to our attention the fact that, this machine that we have is used quite a bit, and you never know when it might break down. And with the heat, the flowers that everybody loves looking at and compliments us on all the time could just dry up and die in a 24, 48-hour period if there's no rain. So we thought it might be smart to have a backup battery and/or a backup pump, so that we could just have it there, and if it were to break down over the course of a weekend or a holiday, Tommy has access to that to be able to replace it. So we got some figures on some of this, and there's a place called Granger that has 2 different types of pumps, and we're not sure which is the one that would fits our machine, because you have to get the actual number off the actual pump. It's either 153 or 239, depending on which one it is. And then there's also a battery that we could get around $65. So I can't give you the exact numbers because we don't know which exact pump it is. But if you take the most expensive one and you add the 67, let's see, 40, 60, that'd be about $310, some tax, maybe $325 total it would cost us to get both of those parts to store in case they were to ever break down. I don't know that they go bad unless a battery goes bad.
You don't want to buy a battery and leave it on the shelf because it's going to go bad. You can get a battery.
Suck the energy out of it.
What's that?
Concrete will suck the energy out of it.
What about looking into another watering thing completely? For
Another
the amount
watering
of money?
thing, good question, would cost $1,160.
Is it solar powered?
No.
That would eliminate that?
Yeah. Okay, well, I see your point about the battery. I suppose that...
Grangers, they can get pumps generally right away.
Well, but you see, what I'm saying is, like, if he wouldn't have been able to use that thing today...
I understand.
And he wasn't able to water them all this morning, then by tomorrow afternoon, many of those things would be on their way out, even if you got the thing and watered it. And what if it was July 4th and Granger's is closed? And it happens, I'm just saying...
24 hours, Amazon.com.
Pardon me?
24 hours, Amazon.com.
Right, but then again, you have to wait for 24 hours at least.
Is there anything more on ordinances?
Do you want to make a motion to buy them?
I think we need a more definitive.
Well, we don't need it right this second, but I wanted to bring it up so that we could consider it. I see what you're saying about the battery. I don't know if Battery Plus is open all the time or on holidays, whatever that store is called, Battery Plus. But it was a scary thing today because we thought we were going to lose all our plants because we thought the machine wasn't going to work. So, but it does work.
Can you move on?
So, the other thing, we'll continue this discussion and look more into it. The other thing, I wanted to mention that I talked to Jerry and Matt today about the possibilities of when the planters are gonna come in that we talked about. I guess they're backlogged because they have some other order, so it's taking them a little longer than we anticipated. We would be getting the planters by the end of August. So I asked Jerry to talk to AJ about at least moving the one by the hula bar into the center of the block. And some of the flowers I've been hanging on to, maybe we could plant them and do that. And then we'll see where we're at by the end of the summer when we get the other planters. So that's what's going on there. And the other thing I wanted to just ask about is it seems as though the street crew is really pounded by work this summer. I was wondering what people might think about us just getting some estimates from some plumbers and have them do it. So that, we can...
The water line? Yeah, if you want to do that, yeah.
Yeah, does that
We can
sound
do that, yeah.
okay to you?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get some estimates and we'll have that information by next month. I believe that is everything on my list. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCarthy, okay to pass you?
I think so.
Okay, Mr. Suchovich.
I too would like to thank you, everybody, for coming and showing your concerns. And I hope you realize that we're concerned too, as residents of the town. We're dealing with the garbage haulers ourselves. We're dealing with the issues of the lighting and the potential problems. And the council is trying to address them, and whether people believe it or not, they are. So I just want to commend everybody for thank everybody for their support, and know that we are trying to get it all worked out. As far as the garbage, it's a new company, they've been here a month. I think I understand the shirt deal, and I understand throwing stuff. I just think they need a little bit of time to make sure they get their streets down pat and everything like that. So, and if there's problems, call proper people, So, that's all I have to say on that. As far as finance, I sat down with Jerry this week. We found a couple things and straightened them out, and everything looks good on the finance end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suchovich. Mrs. Loalba.
On June 30th, Lower Valley Flag Football League, they had their Lights Out tournament. And I want to thank our maintenance crew, because they did get it together to get the park. Plumbing was working, the garbage cans were in place, the flagpole was there by, up on Cribs, the flag was flying. It was really nice to see. It was a nice day. Vince Loda and Tim Long and his roommate, they did an awesome job organizing it. They had, all the sponsors that contributed. Thank you so much, because it was a successful tournament. Money raised at the event was for parks and rec improvements, and they raised a total of $1,219.49. So that goes to the park. So thank you so much for all the hard work and for all the volunteers that also helped that. Another successful venue there. Thank you. And like I said, the parks crew, the maintenance crew, they did a good job, getting it together for us. I understand that the pickleball equipment is in, so I'd like to get together, Dom, with you, I know, and once we get somebody hired, because I know the basketball hoops are in also. We need to get those in down at Riverbank Park, and maybe when they did the drilling for those pools, we get the drilling in for the pickleball, because I know their pickleball people are excited to get that going. They have portable equipment that they're using right now, and I know they have taped down the tennis court where they can use it. They've been using it in the evening, so if you see people using it down there. And I know they're willing to help us out in any way too, to get it together, and they want to give lessons, and they want to really make it successful for the residents in Verona to get into pickleball mode. So thank you everybody here tonight too. It's good to see a room full, and hopefully we can help support you as you support us too. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Provenza.
Thank you. My biggest thanks to all of you. I was so happy. I knew nothing about that shooting Thursday, well, it would be Friday morning. I knew nothing about it if you hadn't have called me, and I only live houses away from it too. And I think you've all acted in a wonderful manner with utmost of respect and maturity. And I'm as near as the phone for each and every one of you. If you need me, I'll be there for you. And I think you already know that because you called me and said, you're on that street, you need to come, not as a council person, but as a resident. I was there, and I'll always be there for all of you and for each person in this room. I love this town, I love all the people here, and I'll always be here for all of you. If there's anything I can do, I'll do it. And I'm sure that council feels the same way. But I think you've all displayed wonderful behavior, and I just pray we get to the bottom of it. That's not something we put under the rug, and it's not going under the rug. Everybody here is concerned, and we're going to get through it. And I thank you a million for being here. And please come back. You need to know what goes on in town. We all need to know how you feel, and you need to know how we feel. And it's good to come. You need to come. It's great to see so many people here, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Garbage was already discussed. I'll just give my sentence on it. I had debris in the alley. We've cleaned it up. Whatever fell stayed. And I know they're new, and I guess we'll discount it to that. I had garbage can lid from way across the street in my yard. Got it back to the owner. So we'll do, I guess, a trial run again and see how they do. Hopefully, things will turn for the better. They're, like we're saying, they're new. I had numerous calls on deer issues. I don't know if any of you are plagued with this problem too. I have people who have gardens. They said they've eaten them down to the ground. Flowers eaten, gone. And they said, you need to do something about this. So I thought, well, I think that's a state issue. So I called State Senator Jay Costa's office. And I said, who do we go to for this issue? And he was not there. He was in meetings, so I didn't personally talk to him. But one of the supervisors there said, you need to go to the Northwest Game Commission of Pennsylvania, which I did. I moved to that level, and an officer is going to call me back. Because I know Fox Chapel has done things about it, Mount Lebanon has done things about it, and they're not only a danger as far as our yards, they're a danger on the road. And we don't want to see people get hurt or their cars all smashed up because they're all over the place. They really are. I see them going up and down the alley at night. And now they're even out during the day. And they've become very domesticated because they've been moved out of their own area, because homes are being built, and they're just among all of us. So next meeting, hopefully I will have a report from the Game Commission. Newsletter. Because of holiday, I talked to our printer, and he said they ran behind schedule, plus they were off several days. Newsletter should be in your mailbox the end of this week, the very, very latest Monday, and it's because we had the holiday. I also wanted to mention, some of you are still fairly new here in town. This is the 107th year of Kennywood, and that's such a big day, at least many, many years ago. Thousands of people went to that. The town practically closed down. Nobody was home. Everybody was at Kennywood. It was one special day out of the year where we all went. And I got the particulars on it. There's a bus that leaves Verona here at 10:15 on tomorrow at 10:15 from here. From Oakmont, it leaves at 11:30 from the high school. And then it will bring the people back at 9 o'clock at night. And this is a no charge to go on the bus, which I think is wonderful. And tickets for an all-day ride are $28. For 55 and over, they're $18. And we will have people selling tickets here at our borough garage tomorrow until about 10:15 in the morning. And also at the paper store. John Henry will have them there also. And
Sylvia, I want to add, when you said the tickets are free, the Verona and Oakmont Chamber of Commerce pays for the buses.
Yes, that's right.
Just to bring that up.
Yes.
And they always have.
Right, that is a chamber
Ever since I was a kid and
function.
beyond that.
Yeah. I also wanted to bring one other thing up. Our cupola here is in dire need of painting. Is there any way we can get it painted? I mean, we're trying so hard to make the town look good, and we want to make sure that our borough building looks good too. The paint is peeling off of it pretty badly, and I know Joey Skirl painted this building inside here, and he did an impeccable job. Maybe we could get him to paint the cupola, and I would be glad to call him. I know him personally.
AJ and I was talking about that. We actually need a, what do they call them, cherry pickers, with the arm that goes up? Yeah.
JLG.
We need a machine to get up there. You can't stand, there's nowhere to stand.
Oh, okay.
Bucket truck or...
Yeah, bucket truck or whatever.
JLG.
Yeah, it needs it. It's peeling and it doesn't look very attractive. So we can maybe look into that. And also, Town Center, and I gave each council member here the paperwork on it. They're willing to, if we have enough people, and it's for our council, but they said it's also open to the public. And we worked with them for a number of years, and they were wonderful in helping us with ideas for our business core district. And they are willing to come and do a speaking series here, and it would be called an intro overview. And if we can get enough people, they will actually come here. We would not have to go to Beaver or Carnegie. And they're wonderful about giving ideas of how to deal with businesses here, how to deal with the facades of our businesses. And I just wonder, is there a show of hands that would be interested in something like this? Great, okay. Because they need to know by July 15th. And I would certainly be here. I attended many, many of those meetings, and they're wonderful. They really give you some great ideas. And they would come, there would be no charge for this. So if you would maybe let me know for sure if you're coming, that would be great. And I know a lot of you work, so I could see if maybe it could be done at one evening where you would be able, as working people, to come. So maybe you can let me know. Feel free to call me. I'm in the phone book. Not a problem. And I think that's everything. And again, I thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you all. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you want to?
Yeah, two things, actually. Nancy reminded me, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I think everybody here got an email about it. Allegheny County will be here. Beth O'Donnell. Verona is listed as an opportunity zone. There were some parts of the tax bill that distinguished different opportunity zones and things like that for economic development. They will be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to have a meeting to discuss it and explain what exactly it is. It's open to the public and everybody in council if you're available. I know some people may be at work, but they will be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Anybody that would like to be here, it's open to the public.
Is this for the abandoned properties?
There's a lot to it. It's part of the abandoned property. It's also the fact that we're an opportunity zone. So there's a lot more to it than just that, but they will be here. And the other thing, before we move on, Trish asked me, and Parks and Rec asked me if we could order a steel deck platform truck for Movies in the Park. It's $141.95. I think we should do it. I just wanted to make sure everybody was okay with that.
So I'm okay. Do you want a motion?
Yeah, they would make
I'll second that.
Motion by Dr. Carpenter, second by Mrs. Provenza, to purchase the steel
deck platform truck
at $141.95.
plus shipping.
Plus shipping. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kay, you're first.
I'm sorry, guys. My name's John Meckel. I live at 450 Selden Avenue. I am probably one of the most annoying people that live in Verona. I take care of the street across the house from me. I make sure that all the weeds are away from the guardrail, cut down. That way cars don't come real close to my house, or when my mother's walking from her house to my house to let my dog out, she doesn't get hit. My mother lives at 448, I think it is. No, 50, yeah, no, it's 54, 454 Selden Avenue. Bertha Meckel lives there. There was a herbicide placed 40 feet from her window where a fan was sucking in all of the fumes, and she was sleeping in the back room, Dave. I decided I was, getting ready to go take off and go to work, and I grabbed my trailer. I was going to deliver some cordwood for my father, and when I grabbed the trailer, it smelled like diesel fuel, and I felt something real slimy. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I started looking around. I started looking at the plants, and I seen the plants were dying. The herbicide was spread. It was very potent. It was the nastiest thing I could smell. I haven't smelled this smell in like 15 years. I went into my mother's house, I got her out of her house, we flipped all the fans around, made all the air go out, and then I called the police. I called the chief. He came down, he surveyed the thing. Now he said something to me that I didn't really like. He said, maybe you should, because they also killed all of my iris that I received from Paul Friday and Patty Friday up in Oakmont, people that I work for. The chief told me that I should have put a sign up that said, do not spray. I think that a sign should be put out to everybody that you're going to spray. You know what I mean? So we can prepare for this. I have a picture I want to show you. I've been taking care of this for a while, and you guys know it. This is my street, but you see the stop sign. Been like that for a while. I went so far, I cut so much, I can't do it all. I never asked for a dime.
Dom's on the street committee, he'll get them on to show him, and
I actually found him on the street, and he came down and looked at my problem immediately and said that he would address it.
Can I see the picture, please?
Yes, ma'am. I can show this to you. Look at the stop sign. Now, all the weeds that are cut, I did. I've been taking care of.
No, I'm with you, yeah.
I've been taking care of it since Shane died.
John, let me see the picture of the stop sign.
It's covered by weeds.
Okay. I didn't see that. I didn't pay attention.
I was upset.
I did pay attention to the spraying.
Yeah, you did.
And it was addressed, and
I just don't want that ever to happen again.
no, it won't.
It won't.
It won't. Our borough manager
I
talked to
stayed
the
with my
agent.
mother for 5 hours
find out
until
what's
she
going on.
felt like she was okay. She did not go to the hospital or request anything, and then I went to work.
It's awful.
He thought
I was mad.
That was scary.
John, in his defense, he thought he was doing a good thing to help
I'm
out.
sure he did.
But it ended up,
Yeah, but when he looked at me and said, yeah, well, you're dumping over there illegally, I wanted to reach over the truck and grab a hold of him. But I kept my composure. The big round guy. I don't know who he is.
AJ, you were talking about the
Yeah,
foreman.
the comments that came back when I was asking, why I didn't like. I kept my cool.
Okay.
Who did the spraying?
As far as everybody in here and your cameras and you guys worrying about things, 5, maybe 10 years ago, all 4 tires were slashed because I fired somebody. So he came back and he wanted to get even with me, and he did. He caused me not to be able to go to work that day. Well, when the insurance came, I bought cameras. I'm going to say a year later, there was an accident that happened around the corner where a kid hit the guardrail. He was traveling too fast. He tried to lie to the police, say he almost hit a deer. My cameras proved there was no deer there, and the police were justified. So if you guys want to get cameras and put them on your house, rock and roll. All of you. All of you. Sam's Club has a really good deal. It solved a lot of my problems, especially when somebody leaves something on your porch and it's like a gift. You want to know who gave it to you? I'm done after that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It was tough being.
Thank you for sitting through a long meeting.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, and I didn't light off one firework on the 4th of July.
You usually do.
Nothing, not even a sparkler.
He's on Selden Avenue. Right past the.
You're allowed to.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to.
Good evening, Dave Matlin, 722 Bruno Street. I have a suggestion that's a little bit different from what's been talked about regarding policing and communication and public engagement. I think the chief does a great job with the police report that he presents to council each month or each meeting. I think it's good. I think it'd be really nice if that could be shared with the public electronically. I think it would do a number of things. It would help the police, relay information. I know the chief often will have, say, hey, we've had a lot of car break-ins, keep an eye out for that, or if there's a certain trend he's seeing or a certain issue, he can relay that to the residents. I know for those that come to the meetings, it's great. For council, it's great, but I think it would be helpful if that information could reach a broader audience via either email, Facebook, the website. The other thing it does is it lets people know. It lets people know what the police are doing. It might give them a better sense of security. It might let them know, hey, that car I saw last week that was suspicious, that maybe there was something to it, and maybe it'll help the police solve more crimes. And I think it's mutually beneficial for the police and for the community. When I lived in the city of Pittsburgh, most of that time I was in Zone 5, and the Zone 5 commander sent out a report weekly. I'm not asking for it necessarily to be weekly at first. I mean, that would be great, but it was great because you'd see the block, you'd see the street incidents that were, justifiable or big enough to be on a police report. And it really helped. It was part of their community policing initiative, and it helped, I think, the police be better engaged with the community and vice versa. And I think it's something easy that, if someone needs help with putting it together electronically from what the chief has, I'd be glad to help. And I think incidents like this, I got a text message from someone with a screenshot of a Facebook post about the shots fired on North, and I don't live particularly close to there, but I kind of wondered, am I getting the right information? What really happened? I want to know more. And I know that I can talk to the chief at the meetings here, but sometimes it's just nice if people can get that information from the chief or from the borough, from the mayor, in a way like a report that would help them know what's going on. And I think it would help with communication, it would help with people being engaged, and it would help probably help solve crimes. So it's just a suggestion. Hopefully you'll consider it. I know the chief's not here, but maybe Dave, you can talk to him, or I'd be glad to talk with him later. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Joey Warren from Vogels Avenue again. So I just wanted to know, after the discussion tonight, if for some reason something again happens like a shooting, will you be using the text message communication that we have with our community for something like that? Who's in charge of those texts going out that would make that decision is a question. And then also, I think a good resource is the website, but going through this past week to look for some of the pieces, we still have the old 2017 Verona calendar on there. We have dead links that go to 404 error pages on another website. There's a number of things on the website that aren't even up to date. So I just wanted to, again, remind you, I had mentioned this in February, I think it was with emails not going to everybody completely. People weren't able to check their emails. I think for as much as we spend on having a nice looking website, I think it should function just as well. So I urge you to take a look at all the forms page to see what's on there, because there are a lot of very outdated pieces from 2014, 2016, 2017, and I think there are things that are relative to 2019 that could better live there, including some of the things that Mr. Matlin said. I think the police log is something that would be a great asset. If someone knows that there's a lot of activity on their street, I think it's something that we should know without having to come down and look through a book or attend a meeting for an hour and a half during the month. I do appreciate this being a form. I think there's better ways for people that are able to check it more conveniently through the website. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Warren, several months ago, several weeks ago, meetings ago, we decided that the mayor and/or Mr. Kenna would put the text messages on, and I agree with emergencies like that should be on, as opposed to all the meeting type things, which all the meetings aren't posted anyhow. So.
Through the text alert system?
The text alert, do you
I'll
think?
get with the chief and we'll work something out, to release something on that. Whatever happens, whether it's a flood, just that type of shooting or something.
So as a resident, I think just what I imagined when I signed up for that last year in July was if there was something like a 5-car hit and run in February on my street, I would get the alert that said, police are on the scene, everything has been, stay out of the way or everything's taken care of. The council's addressing this, or the police or fire or emergency teams are addressing this, just so we know and it's not third hand the next week or at another meeting or wherever else. Or at the shooting, I didn't know either until it was mentioned by a neighbor. So I think it's the right forum for it. I don't know how many people are on there collectively, but I just think it's one of the better ways you can use that communication piece.
I think it's a good idea.
And then one more remark about just this evening in general. I think a lot of what I'm hearing is residents being reactive to what's been on our streets or in our neighborhood. And a lot of it seems to be, a lot of you guys are defensive collectively, and I can understand that, but there just seems to be a miss somewhere. And just some of the tone tonight, just understanding that, you represent us and we're trying to be good neighbors and good residents with you, and some of the things we provide to you are just insight on what we know to be on our streets or in our neighborhood or in our house. So the tone was a little bit odd to me tonight. And I appreciate you guys listening, but like I said earlier, I think what's even maybe more important are some of the things that happen after this, because I'd hate to come back in 3 months and have another issue, different street, same issue, whether it's a shooting or whatever it happens to be. I think there's a lot of things that can be addressed. And again, I don't think it's right to be reactionary. I think there are a lot of preventive things that can happen. And I believe the budget has ways to do that. It's not just grants to solve everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Can I have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Conti, second by Mrs. Provenza. Are there any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.